Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm gonna start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who grew well and have taught me this word in truth and sincerity. Peace and mercy as well to the hopeful elect, starting with 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. I'm Charles Silver Lamont of GMS Toronto, coming at you again with another live lesson. And this is going to be another edition of Doomsday Prophecies. And a couple topics, all right, that I'll be getting into as you see: shameful spewing, the raging boars, and sudden destruction. Okay? Shameful spewing, the raging boars, and sudden destruction. Okay, and so I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna open up with Isaiah 47 and 1. Okay. It says here, I'm gonna read this in the NLT as well. So it says, "Come down, virgin daughter of Babylon," okay, which is America, prophetically, and sit in the dust, right? Confusion and then ultimately destruction, complete destruction. Okay. There's a lot of confusion going on as Babylon goes back to Babel, right? The city of confusion. Okay. For your days of sitting on a throne have ended. Okay. So the American Empire is falling. That's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing the American Empire, which is spiritually Babylon the Great. Okay. And Egypt. But the American Empire is also, it falling is synonymous to the Edomite Empire falling. Okay. Because America is like that chief, it's like the capital city of the Edomite Empire. Okay. Starting with the Amalekites. So it says, "For your days of sitting on a throne have ended, O daughter of Babylonia." Again, right? And it says, "Never again will you be the lover, the lovely princess, tender and delicate." In the King James, it says, "Come down, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans." Okay, and the Chaldeans were the wise men of the land. Okay, so that would be your modern day bankers, international bankers, the ones that you do not see, not your Trumps, all right, not these technocrats. You know, they're more so the stooges, the puppets, all right, the priesthood of the top wicked elite. Okay, O daughter of the Chaldeans, which the daughter of Chaldeans is America, for it has, and this is why the world is waking up to America basically being the whore of the is not reals. All right. I'm gonna start using that. I got that from the elder um, Malcolm. I heard him say that at some point. Right, the is not reals. Right, so everybody's waking up to the fact that they work hand in hand, and that's prophecy, slake, as the scriptures say, the least of the flock shall draw them out. Okay, so we're witnessing that. So it says, "O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." Back in NLT says, verse 2, "Take heavy millstone and grind flour." And spiritually, man, this is why, starting the apostles on down here at Great Millstone, we boldly proclaim that we have 100% truth. Okay, when it comes to the word of the Most High, which is the Bible. Okay, and prophecy. Remove your veil, and that's what we've been doing, starting with the apostles on down. Lifting up the veil, all right, of the wickedness of Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay, remove your veil and strip off your robe. Expose yourself to public view. You will be naked and burdened with shame. I will take vengeance against you without pity. Our Redeemer, whose name is the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies, is the Holy One of Israel. O beautiful Babylon, sit now in darkness and silence. Never again will you be known as the Queen of Kingdoms. Okay? For I was angry with my chosen people and punish them by letting them fall into your hands, right? And they went far with the people of the Lord, the true people of the Lord, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, the Native Americans, and you speckled birds, okay? Even if you look like the heathens, all right, you can't fool the curses. All right, so wherever you were scattered at, you're still catching hell, okay? You're still under curses. But you, Babylon, showed no mercy, right? You oppressed even the elderly. You said, I will reign forever as a queen of the world. You did not reflect on your actions or think about their consequences. Listen to this, you pleasure-loving kingdom, living at ease and feeling insecure. And this is how you know the American people have been sold a lie, an illusion. Because how do you think, how did you think that all this was not going to come back on America's head when you go into the history of America? But that's the thing. A lot of Americans don't even know the true history of America. Okay, and all these top officials that have sold out America, okay, to the small hats, they didn't think about the consequences. They didn't reflect on it. This is why the scriptures say, "The pride of your heart have deceived thee." So, verse 8: Listen to this, you pleasure-loving kingdom, living at ease and feeling secure. You say, "I am the only one, and there is no other. I will never be a widow or lose my children." Right? The American pride. Okay, the average mentality or the mentality of every American. Well, both these things will come upon you in a moment: widowhood and the loss of your children. Yes, these calamities will come upon you despite all your witchcraft and magic. Okay, and you know all of America, from its food to its education to the infrastructure, is based upon witchcraft and magic, man. Okay, you felt, even and especially the entertainment. Okay, you felt secure in your wickedness. No one sees me, you said, but your wisdom and your knowledge have led you astray. And you said, I am the only one, and there is no other. So last verse it says, so disaster will overtake you, and you won't be able to charm it away. Calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. Okay, and this is also going to come. We're also going to witness the collapse, okay, of the dollar. Yeah, well, hey, a shift. The dollar is definitely going to shift, but we're going to witness the collapse of the American economy. Okay, a complete collapse. However, they do it by the way of this next Black Swan event, but we're going to witness it. Okay, and you won't be able to buy your way out. A catastrophe, see, will strike you suddenly. Okay, that Black Swan event, one which you are not prepared. The next thing is coming. The next thing that's coming for the American people, aka Babylon the Great, they're not going to be prepared for it. Even the officials, Trump and all his administration, they're not going to be prepared for it. That's what prophecy says, because the Lord is one who's dictating these events on earth. Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. Okay? So these guys are finished. So let's get this clip here that I got. And this is from the brother Arrows of Indignation, 144. Okay, subscribe and be edified. So let's skip ahead in this clip. Speed it up a bit. Okay.
How much longer? How much longer can Iran sustain the closure of the Strait of Hormuz?
Indefinitely.
Because it harms your economy too, doesn't it?
For us, it is a fight for survival. For you, it is a fight to sustain the Epstein class and ethno-supremacism in Palestine.
Why do you keep bringing up? Why do you bring up Jeffrey Epstein in this context? What's the logical leap there?
It's very clear. It's very clear what class of people are in charge in your countries. That class of people are the people who have control. They're the ones who own the media. They're the ones who control the government. They're the ones who start unprovoked wars time after time. This is not the first war that you've imposed upon this region, or Iran for that matter. And we just saw yesterday a key American anti-terrorist official resign, saying the truth that we all knew, but you tried to hide. and that is Iran was no threat to the United States, and that this war was carried out because of the Israeli regime and its powerful lobby. So what I'm saying is basically what he is saying. That powerful lobby is Epstein. Well, that intelligence officer basically said what I'm saying, and I think that people don't really take you seriously. And as time goes on, and you continue to help B-52 bombers carpet bomb Tehran and people in this neighborhood, and they're seriously dead. Take that seriously. They died. You don't care, but we do.
What's the way out here? What's the way out here, Professor? How does this end? What's the way out?
A strategic defeat to the United States under Trump.
And what does that look like?
You'll see in the weeks ahead.
Is there a deal possible? Is there a chance of talks between the two sides at this point?
None of them. We'll fight, and we'll hold the U.S. by the throat through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll continue to hammer them. And if they try to do anything other than on the ground, then they'll really see what we can. You mess with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore. And the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through. What you've done to the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people, the
Can I ask you finally, because we are running out of time. We are running out of time.
The Iranian people.
So let's get a precept. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. All right. And you can hear this precept lots. This prophecy is speaking. It's Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Okay, and it says, I'll start at 3. You always gotta start at 3. Okay, Habakkuk 2, verse 3, it says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time." Okay, the vision going into the destruction and downfall of America, aka Babylon the Great, and the return of our Lord Yahushua as well. Okay, before that destruction, nuclear destruction, the vision as well as the MOTB, right? The mark of the beast, which is a microchip. So a couple visions, really. For the vision, or you say visions, is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. You see? And this is why this guy kept, who is this guy again? This guy is Persian professor. Okay, so he's a Persian professor. And he keeps calling out the Epstein regime and saying that you have small hat lobbyists in all the government of America. And it's true. We've been saying this starting with the apostles for decades, okay? That the world is now just catching up to prophecy. Okay, so it says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. Okay, and this is the Edomites, starting at the top. International bankers, Amalek, small hats. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. Okay, and that's the elect. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, right? Going to every other country, right? Setting up puppet kings, puppet prime ministers to do your bidding, to spew out your venom, your madness, all right, your wine. As the scriptures say, the world has drunken of the wine of Babylon. Okay, neither keepeth at home, or who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathering unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. NLT says, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. Okay, starting with the top wicked elite, the bankers, who are in control of the earth, but they're also using America as a patsy to do their bidding, to forward their agenda of a new world order. Okay, by the way of the microchip, the MOTB. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed up many peoples. Okay. You know what? I'm going to continue the NLT. It says, but soon their captives, okay, will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? And this is what all the nations are crying out, starting with Iran. Okay. Hey, well, yeah, of the nations, but really we've been crying this out, right? Starting with the prophets of the nation of Israel. Okay. But now you've seen the Lord put the spirit, as he said he would, all right, on the nations to cry out against this war. Okay. Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless because you have plundered many nations. Now all the survivors will plunder you. You committed murder throughout the countryside. Okay. While Esau was busy making Jake the face of the face of violence, murder, and bloodshed, and not taking away from the wickedness of the 2/3 of our people. But what what they do on the corners in the ghettos, Esau does that globally in countries, ruin millions, up to billions of lives. Okay. Well, hey, it says he's destroyed the whole earth. He's destroyed the whole earth. Okay. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. What sorrow awaits you who what sorrow awaits you? What sorrow awaits you who build big houses with money gained dishonestly? You believe your wealth will buy security, putting your family's nest beyond the reach of danger. And America basically has always put their as um, solidified themselves through what? The military and the petrodollar, right? Weaponizing the dollar. And when you look at what's going on, what Iran is doing with the dollar, that's being dismantled. Okay. So they're being dismantled, and they thought they were far from danger, but they never thought that Iran would do what they're doing now. But that's the work of the Lord. Okay. So the chickens are coming home to roost. Okay. It says, verse 10, but by the murderers you committed, you have shamed your name and forfeited your lives. The very stone in the walls cry out against you, and the beams in the ceilings echo the complaint. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? And he kept pushing out the Epstein files, man. And that's just a tip of the iceberg of what they do. That's just in America. You have to understand these top wicked elites, right, of the nation of Edom. You saw Edom do this worldwide. Okay. And I've been doing it for centuries at that. Let me skip down here to verse 15 and read to 16. And the NLT says, what sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk? Okay. Starting with Jake. Okay. He made us drunk by the wine of Babylon, the so-called American dream, but you've made the earth drunk by that as well. Okay. Your philosophies, your pagan ways. You force your cup on them so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness. Okay. You call these people, T's, right? T-Eris. Okay, but the biggest T-Eris is Esau Edom on the planet Earth. Okay, he's the first murderer going back to Cain. Okay, you guys are the foreign invaders of the earth. Okay, and so is America. It says, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come, drink and be exposed. Drink from the cup of the Lord Yahweh's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. And that's what we're witnessing. America is going to go out in a shameful way. Thus saith the Lord, okay, aka Babylon the Great. All right, so let's go back to this clip.
On their resolve, they'll see this through. To the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people.
Can I ask you finally? We are running out of time. We are running out of time.
The Iranian people. In the coming hours, Trump decides to strike Iran's critical infrastructure. Iran will force them to pay a price beyond their imagining. Iran is prepared for all-out war. It has not shown its true power yet. It is holding back. And all those family dictatorships in the Persian Gulf, Qatar, these proxies of the regime in Washington, the Emirates, the Bahraini regime, Saudi regime, the Kuwaiti regime, all of them, every single one of them, they are complicit in this war. They assisted the United States in slaughtering Iranians. They've been assisting the United States for all these years in all their wars. whether in Yemen or whether in Iraq. When they invaded Iraq, these countries, these regimes, they had funded Saddam Hussein in the 1980s. They gave him hundreds of billions of dollars. But when their masters in Washington told them to turn against Saddam Hussein, they did so immediately. So these regimes will pay the ultimate price within hours. As soon as Trump starts targeting Iran's electrical power plants, everything on the other side of the Persian Gulf will be wrecked. And so my advice to people in these countries is to leave tonight, because we don't know what this madman.
Is there fear among Iranians?
Yep. Let's get this precept. This is 2nd Ezra 15, okay? And let's start at 26. And I'm going to read this in the King James, and I'm going to actually, you know what? Let me just get it in the GNT, and I'll go back to the King James. You got to hear how this sounds in the GNT. So 2nd Ezra 15 and 26 in the GNT, it says, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai is aware of all those who sin against him, and he will hand them over to death and destruction. Terrible disasters have already come upon the world, and there is no escape. Okay, you have, and with America, it says terrible disasters have already come upon the world. Okay, and America is the vocal point of those terrible disasters. Yeah. Okay, America and the land of Israel not. Okay, and there is no escape. You have sinned against Yahweh Bashem El Shai, and he will not rescue you. And this is going to 2/3 of Israel. Okay, predominantly in America, aka Babylon the Great. The Lord is not going to rescue you because of your rebellion. And this is why, with fear and trembling, we work on our salvation. Okay, staying upon our watch. It says, then in the east, you will suddenly see a fearsome sight. Arab armies with many chariots, will advance like dragons. As soon as they start out, the sound of their hissing will spread across the world and bring fear and trembling to everyone who hears it. You see that? And that's happening right now, starting with Iran, the Carmanians, right? In verse 30. It says, because as you heard him, that Iranian professor talked about the other Persian Gulf states surrounding, that area, who have joined in hand with America in taking down many leaders with all the destruction in the Middle East. So they're going to go at war with each other, right? But at some point, they're going to band together as well, as prophecy dictates, and they're going to come against America, okay? And really all the nations, right? There's going to be a lot more nations that are going to get involved in this conflict, in this war, because we are in World War III. We're just not at the climax. There's stages to war, world war, okay? So it's not just going to be Iran and these other Arab armies, okay? But it's going to be other countries, Russia, China, all right? The EU, right? It's going to, it's good to say 200 million, 200,000, 200 million missiles, okay? So I read that again. It says, Arab armies with many chariots will advance like dragons. As soon as they start out, the sound of their hissing will spread across the world, bringing fear and trembling to everyone who hears it. The Carmanians will come out of the forest in a fierce rage, like wild boars, right? And the Carmanians, again, are the Iranians today, okay? So the Carmanians will come out of the forest in a fierce rage, like wild boars, advancing in full strength to attack the dragons, right? The other Arab states. So they're going to be warring against each other. We're seeing, right, or witnessing that, and then we're also seeing that climax. Okay, with their tusk, they will tear a large part of Assyria, and that's America, prophetically and spiritually. So let's go back to the King James, and we'll continue on here in verse 31. It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power and shall fear. So again, these nations, we're seeing Iran's gonna war with these other Gulf states, okay? But something's gonna happen where they're gonna realize that America's the problem. Okay, how in terms of the particulars, how that plays out, well, we're gonna see. But they're gonna realize, as the rest of the world has already realized and is now taking action to, is that Babylon the Great, okay, America, the whore that sitteth upon many waters, all right, is the problem. That is the cancer of the earth. And that's also tied to who? Because you know what's also coming out? The shameful spewing of Amalek, all right, the top nation of the nation of Edom. Okay, so all of Edom is crumbling, all right, and the whole world is waking up to the fact that America and Esau Edom is the problem. Okay, then these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power and shall flee, and from the land of Assyria of the Assyrians, okay, prophetically America, shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and great dread and strife among their kings. Okay, so something's gonna happen. There's gonna be some kind of attack. Okay, and like I said earlier, man, the Lord is going to bring about a sudden destruction, which for one which they are not prepared. I read that in Isaiah 47. Okay, so something's gonna happen from from these Arab states, Arab countries, okay, where they're gonna attack America, and it's gonna cause a major crisis, man. Okay, that's prophecy. So let's continue on in this video, and I got two more precepts, and that'll be it. Or actually, since I mentioned that, because it also says that that they're kings, right? At the end, it says to consume the land, and their host shall be in fear, right? And the dread and strife among their kings. So, Trump and his administration, they're all not going to know what to do, okay? As prophecy also dictates that they're fools, all right? This is Isaiah 19 and 11. I'm also going to get this in the NLT. It says, what fools are the officials of Zoan, their best counsel to the king of Egypt, America, prophetically, is stupid and wrong, right? Because really, the administration of Trump, they work for the small hats. So Trump is a puppet. Okay, he's a puppet. He doesn't really know the full extent or the ramifications of the decisions he's making. He just is following the will of his puppet masters. Okay, and his officials work for them to make sure to keep him in line and make sure he's doing what they tell him to do. Will they still boast to Pharaoh of their wisdom? Will they dare brag about all their ancestors? Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what Yahweh Bashem Yashai plans, what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies is going to do to Egypt. The officials of Zoan are fools, and the officials of Memphis are deluded. The leaders of the people have led Egypt astray. Okay? It says, the Lord Yahweh has sent a spirit of foolishness on them. So all their suggestions are wrong. They cause Egypt to stagger. Okay, we're seeing that. So that's why civil unrest, okay, is coming. Okay, because the American people are also waking up to the fact that they've been sold out. Okay, they've been sold out by their officials. Okay, they're politicians. It says they cause Egypt to stagger like a drunk in his vomit. Right? It says there is nothing, verse 15, there's nothing Egypt can do. All are helpless. The head and the tail, the noble palm branch and the lowly reed, right? From the top rich people, right? The super rich of America down to the bottom feeders of America. Okay? Everybody is duped. Everybody is doomed, but the hopeful elect. in that day, the Egyptians will be as weak women. Yeah, so that's the point. Okay, that's the point there. Just highlighting the fact that the Lord's going to bring about a destruction, a sudden demise that they're not going to be prepared for, not knowing what to do.
Tonight, we don't know what the madman.
Is there fear among Iranians that this could trigger a nuclear attack by either one of these states or both of them?
The very fact that you raise such a question shows how barbaric the two regimes are. You could even contemplate such a thing. No sane person would ever use nuclear weapons or even contemplate it. But the fact that you and many others do ask this question show what sort of monsters we're dealing with. Ethno supremacists, seeing class. This is what we're standing up against. And we will continue to resist. We will not allow them to have control over our country or to dominate our region. It's over.
Yeah, because that's the plan ultimately by the top wicked elite. You have to understand that, that's the reason for the Greater Israel Project. Okay, trying to forward a pseudo blessing, and Iran has a central bank that's not controlled by the Rothschilds. So, okay, that's and they know it. So the Lord's putting a spirit on them to fulfill prophecy.
To have control over our country or to dominate our region. It's over. But yet, that should be asked, if they do seriously contemplate a nuclear weapon, what would then happen? First of all, Iran, of course, would have to move towards, it would have to change its nuclear policy. Would it only be Iran?
Yeah, he's right. It wouldn't only be Iran. Okay, let's get these last two precepts. This is Nahum 3 and 5, 3 to 7.
How much longer can Iran sustain the closure of the Strait of Hormuz?
Sorry. Nahum 3 and 5, it says, Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. NLT, it says, I am your enemy, says the Lord, Yahweh of heaven's armies. And now I will lift your skirts and show all the nations, or all the earth, your nakedness, right? Your shame, your wickedness. That's why everybody's, that's why he kept bringing back up the Epstein files, the Epstein regime, and show all the earth your nakedness and shame. Okay, I will cast abominable filth upon thee and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Okay, NLT says, I will cover you with filth and show the world how vile you really are. That's what the Epstein files did to America. They showed how vile America really is. Okay, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, because that's just America. You got to understand who's in control of America. Okay, they are the most vilest people on the planet Earth. Right? So let's skip down. Oh, you know what? Let me read verse 7. It says, And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee and say, Nineveh, right? And historically, it's talking about Nineveh, but prophetically, this is pointing to America. Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee? Okay. NLT, all who see you will shrink back and say, Nineveh lies in ruins. Where are the mourners? Does anyone regret your destruction? And the merchants will, right? Because they made a lot of money off of the consumerism of America and the American people. So they will mourn, right? But eventually, of course, they'll get over it. Okay, but really and truly, all these nations are they want America. They want the demise of America, aka Babylon the Great. They're sick and tired of this whore that sits upon many waters, man. Okay. Let me jump down here to verse 19. I'm gonna read this in the NLT. It says, "There is no healing for your wound." You see that? There is no healing, no balm for the pain. There is no healing for your wound. Your injury is fatal. So America is done. Okay? All who hear, you heard what he said. He said there is no negotiation or peace talks. Okay? Your injury is fatal. All who hear of your destruction will clap their hands for joy. Where can anyone be found who has not suffered from your continual cruelty? You see? Where can anybody be found on the earth who hasn't suffered? by the continual cruelty of Esau, Edom, starting with Amalek and their whore of the earth, America, aka Babylon the Great. None. Last verse. Let's go to Revelation 17 and 15. Okay, he had mentioned, not just Iran, but you have to think who else. Okay. It says, verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, that's America, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, right? So she sits above the whole earth, right? Oppressing the whole earth. Okay. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these, right, NATO and the EU, shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That's thermonuclear destruction. All right, the climax of World War III. Okay, and these events that are playing on earth are prophecies that lead to this final destruction. But before this final destruction, we're going to see we have to the MOTB, the hour temptation, has to be fulfilled. Okay, which that's the next thing, coupled with the demonization of the prophets. Okay, so anyways, with that, Lord willing, this lesson was straightforward and edifying to the whole full elect. I'm going to close by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bahakadash. Give honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and have taught me the word in truth and sincerity. Peace and mercy to the whole full elect. All right, starting with 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. Okay, above the ball, Kwame Shala, and Shalom to the whole full elect.